Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dim Lights Horror, the podcast that tells classic and modern stories from around the world for you to hear. Now, please, take a seat, dim your lights, and join me in today's story by Reddit user Plague692, Just Beyond. I used to work as a safecracker for a bank. Whenever there was a safe or some sort of lock on a reclaimed property, it was my job to pick it and properly reclaim it. I'd been doing this for years and had been making decent money. Nothing was ever too strange. I continued this job for every 5 years. Until one day, it was in the house of an old man who had been moved to a mentally ill assisted living center. And though it was cruel, he couldn't make his house payments. So it was my job to reclaim some items from a large safe he had in the closet of an unused master bedroom. It was simple, old but simple. The entire thing was open in like 10 minutes. The door was solid cast iron though, so it was difficult to open, even if the lock was one of the easiest things I've cracked in a while. Inside was some normal stuff I usually see in safes like this. A couple of piles of money here and there, jewelry in one corner, and a coin collection against the leftmost wall. There was one thing that caught my eye though. A small copper idol. It was a strange form, an abstract piece to say the least, but it got me feeling a certain way I can't quite shake. There was a manager from the bank at the house to oversee the clear out. I walked to him with the idol in my hand.
"What's up, Sam?"
he said, looking at the strange idol I had in my grasp.
"Not sure. It was in that closet. More of a vault than a safe, to be fully honest,"
I said, rubbing my head with my offhand.
"Yeah, I know that, but why do you have it in your hand?"
he said with a confused face.
"Not sure. It kinda just grabbed my imagination. Don't know why though,"
I said, chewing my cheek softly. He snapped a picture of it, looking through his phone.
"Doesn't look like anything valuable. You want it?"
he said, putting his phone back into his pocket.
"Dude, that's totally against code,"
I said, about to walk back to the vault.
"Sam, you've been working for us for half a decade with no benefits but the pay. Just take the damn idol,"
he said. I looked at the idol again and nodded, then went back home with the check from the job and the figure. I placed it on my mantle and decided it wasn't worth the effort to go to my bed, so I just fell asleep fully clothed on the couch. I remember having a dream that night. It felt like a brief 5 seconds, but it was still strange. I was floating in the dark void. It wasn't space, and there were no stars, and I could breathe. Before I could notice anything further, I woke up. I felt strange upon waking up. I mean, other than my back hurting like hell from sleeping on the couch, I felt as though I hadn't slept at all. There also wasn't an imprint of my body on the couch, which was weird to me. I didn't have the time to think about it though, because I had gotten a call from David, the manager who let me have the idol, about another safe in the house he needed me to get into.
It's bigger than the first,
He said in an out-of-breath voice.
in the basement.
He continued.
We gotta get permission for this one though. Apparently the guy was an art director and some of that stuff in his house may or may not have been stolen a number of years ago. I need you to bring the idol in. If they don't find anything on it, you can have it back.
Alright, I'll head to the bank now, I responded before I hung up and got dressed. I grabbed the idol and put it in the back seat. I wasn't feeling very good. When I looked back at the idol, I felt a little better. But when I looked away, I got worse. I got distracted. And I crashed. My seatbelt dug into my skin a little, and the idol, still perfectly intact, laid in the destroyed windshield. I could feel a warm liquid come from my nose as I heard sirens and passed out. I had another dream while I was out. A black void once again. But this time, it was different. In the sea of black were lines of dark gray. If it wasn't the only things for my eyes to lock on to, it would be impossible to see. These lines came closer and closer, and I felt the touch of a muscular and slick object against my back. Suddenly, with a strange electronic beep, the lines jolted away like a snake who got its tail cut off. I came to for a number of moments in an ambulance, and then things went black again. I woke up in a hospital bed. Just about everything was sore. I looked to my right and saw an empty bed. I looked to my left and saw an end table. And on top of the end table was the idol. I took it in my weak but determined hand and looked deeply into it. For some reason, it seemed slightly more detailed. The abstract lines became individual and handcrafted textures, though the bulk still seemed like large chunks of copper melted together. I was sent home after a few more tests, and I was told to come in after a few weeks for a checkup to make sure I'm still okay. Thank you all for listening. Due to the length of this episode, there will be a part 2. Be sure to check it out. If you're listening on YouTube, please subscribe and leave a comment. I value your feedback. And if you're listening on Spotify, click the follow button to hear more stories from Dim Light's Horror. And be sure to take a look at my Facebook and Instagram. Just look up Dim Lights Horror in the search bar. Good night, everybody.